Hey, it's Sela Social Studies.
Hey guys, welcome back to Sela's Social Studies. Today we're going to be covering geography and map essentials. You need to know how to read a map, just in case, Siri breaks down or your Google Maps breaks down, and you have to actually bust out a piece of paper or a globe and try to figure out where you are or where you're going. So today we're going to be covering like Mother Earth, how we get around. That's the topic of this part of your note sheet. Now, remember what I said. These on this side over here, these are going to be your essential questions for this part of the chapter. Okay, so why do we study the Earth? I'm sure geographers can go into a long, drawn-out answer as to why geography is so important. They love to study its features, and it's a journey through time. The deeper you go, when you travel through the Rocky Mountains, there are signs all over the road when you pass by a new set of rock or layer. It tells you how old the rock and stone are, and I've personally seen a sign stating that the rocks were over 3 billion years old. So Mother Earth has been around for a long time. In order for us as humans to get around, we need to know how to use a map. Today, it's easy to just say, hey Siri, how do I get to the Walmart in Raleigh? And she'll spit out a map and directions, and we just follow it. It was not always that easy, however. From the beginning of time, we as human beings, hunter-gatherers, we needed to move. Humans would migrate from place to place in order to find food and water to survive. Many ancient peoples would rely on the stars at night to navigate, and sailors still do this today, but they can't do it without a star map. So you can be a sailor on a ship and use a star map, and you wouldn't need a GPS out there. That's how long we've been studying things like stars and geography. So when we were capable as a species, we began to make maps. So let's get started. So this is called the globe versus the Mercator Map. And what is the most correct scale of the model Earth? Is it all those maps that we see in our classrooms and on the board? Is it the map that we look at on our cell phones? Is it the map that your friend Gary drew on a napkin to show you where he lives? Well, no. Have you ever heard of the theory that Greenland is not as big as it really is on maps because the map distorts it? Well, that's true. Most maps that we see today distort some area of land, whether it be Greenland or Antarctica or Africa. The map that we know best and use most often is called the Mercator Map. But is it the best to use? And the answer is no. The most correct scale model of the Earth is the globe. It's a sphere. Think about a basketball or a soccer ball. Would you be able to make it look the same if you tried to flatten it out, if you cut all the seams and pressed it down? No, and that's why the globe is the best representation of the Earth. So we know that the globe is the best. But what about those funny lines on them? The ones that go sideways and up and down, right? They side to side. I don't know what that means. Up and down. What does that mean? Is that just a grid? These are used to find out where exactly you are on planet Earth. But how can I find out where I am in the world if the world is a giant ball? Well, that's a really good question. These systems of lines that you see on the globe are used to locate any place on Earth. They are called latitude lines and longitude lines. Now, these lines are measured in degrees. Lines of latitude range from 90 degrees north to 90 degrees south. The longitude lines are also measured by degrees, and they go from 180 degrees east to 180 degrees west. Latitude lines are also known as parallels. They are the ones that run in the east-west direction, which is horizontal, and they tell you how much north or south of the equator you are. And longitude lines or meridians run in a north and south direction, and they tell you how far east and west you are. So the center of the Earth's latitude lines, which is this one, the horizontal, north and south, is at 0 degrees, and it is called the equator. This is the spot that is closest to the sun. The center line for the meridians, which are the up and down, these longitude lines, this one is called the prime meridian, and this is the location where your day changes from east and west. So I want you to remember about the equator is that's going to be the place on planet Earth where it is going to be the warmest. You know, it's a sphere. Think about a basketball, right? If the basketball came flying at you and hit you in the face, you'd get hit by one part before you got hit by another. So that part that you got hit first, that's going to be like the equator, okay? That's the part that's closest to the sun. That's the areas south of Florida where it's really, really hot year round. They really don't have a change of seasons. So the prime meridian and the equator also divide the Earth into halves called hemispheres. And there are 4 hemispheres: the north, the west, the south, and the eastern hemisphere. And the United States is located in the northern and western hemispheres. So now let's talk about maps and why are maps so important. How do I read one? What does it tell me? I'm here and I'm trying to answer all these questions for you about maps. So there's a lot of information located on the maps. The same latitude and longitude lines that are on a globe are also on maps. And there are numerous types of maps. So in order for us to figure everything else out, we need to know our map essentials, and there are 5 map essentials. You have the map title, the compass rose, the scale, the legend, otherwise known as a key, and a locator map. And let's break each one of those down one by one. The map's title shows the reader what the subject of the map is. You don't know what you're looking at, it doesn't help you. The compass rose, or just compass for short, is the directional indicator, which shows north, south, east, and west. Sometimes you'll get other directions like northeast, northwest, southwest, southeast. The scale represents the distance between points on a map. Now they can be seen in different forms, and can have different scales. You can have miles or you can have kilometers, for example. And what the scale tells you is how far of a distance real life is compared to the map. So what it could say is 1 inch on the map is really 1 mile in real life. The legend or the key explains what the symbols on the map represent. So, for example, blue lines are rivers, red lines are roads, a star is a capital, jagged lines is mountains, and maybe a wave for a lake. So it tells you exactly what's on the map and what's going to be in your way, right? A big blue blotch on the map is a pond, and if you're trying to walk somewhere, you can't walk through the pond, right? And the locator map shows where in the world the area on the map is located. So if you're looking at a map, you're trying to find North Carolina, so you want to look at it on a locator map. You would see the map of the United States, and North Carolina would be highlighted. So I have the map behind me here and the map essentials, so you'd be able to see what all of these mean. All maps use these features, and they're going to help a person figure out everything they need to know about the map. Why is it important? Well, today is different because of the technological revolution, but we need to be sure how to read maps in case our batteries die and we need to figure out where in the world we are, and we can't ask Google. But knowing how to read a map and using the 5 map essentials can help you doing other things as well. It teaches you what to look for for important information. And this is also very helpful when you're reading things like charts. You need to find the name of the chart to know what the chart is talking about. Then you need to see what each part of the chart means. Whether it's a line chart or a bar chart, you should be able to figure out how to read it properly using the skills you learned while reading a map. Now there are different types of maps. I've already mentioned the Mercator map, but that's a name or a type of a map. We're looking for a different type of map that shows different things. Now they're used by different people, but there are 2 that really stand out, and they are seen most frequently by people in the United States, people in the classrooms. Now these are political maps and physical maps. Political maps divide boundaries and locations of political units, such as states, countries, counties, cities, or even towns. An example of this is when you look at a Mercator map of the United States, you see the states shaded in different colors. This is the political division of those states. Each one of those states has its own governor. A physical map shows a location and topography or shape of the Earth's land features. When we look at this map, it usually shows shades of green for forests, and the darker the green, the darker the forest, or dark brown for mountains, light brown for deserts. So those are the two types of maps. We have political maps, the map of the United States with shaded states, or the physical map. That's the one that shows you land features. So we just covered our 5 map essentials, and we covered globes and lines of latitude and lines of longitude. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask.